when you look at what causes like gut dysbiosis, which is basically us not having a very good relationship with our gut microbiome, which is probably the most important relationship you'll ever have. And people go, that's kind of weird with your gut.
See, Tom, my gut microbiome and me, we're like this.
Yeah, that's it.
On today's episode, we have Carla Oates. I'm so excited because I'm the biggest fan of The Beauty Chef, and she literally is the beauty chef. So this episode, we talk all about gut health, endocrine disruptors, supplements, eczema. We really cover it all. So I'm so excited for you all to hear this episode. Welcome back to another episode of Self-Dom Beautiful Humans, a safe place to learn and get inspired to live your healthiest and most fulfilling life. I am Dom, your host, and I feel so grateful to be living my passion by getting to interview inspiring and knowledgeable guests. Today is all about how to find beauty from within. Gut health is such a hot topic in the wellness world at the moment, but today's guest has been a pioneer in bringing its importance to the forefront. I am so excited to have Carla Oates on the pod today. Carla is the founder of The Beauty Chef, a wellness brand that is leading the way at bringing awareness of the link between beauty, gut health, and well-being. A little background knowledge on Carla. She worked as the beauty editor for some of Australia's top magazines, and she was shocked by all the toxins in our products and moved more into a natural beauty space. On the Self-Dom pod, we talk a lot about endocrine disruptors, but this was in the early 2000s that Carla was talking about this, so she is really ahead of the game. This passion led to the creation of The Beauty Chef, which, if you follow me, is a non-negotiable in my routine. So during COVID, I got one of Carla's cookbooks, and it really and truly started my passion with gut health and how it connects to beauty. So I'm so freaking excited to have Carla on the pod today. So welcome to Self-Dom.
Thank you for having me, Dom.
You are literally glowing. I can't get over it. You walked up the stairs and I was like, wow, I want what she is having.
Oh, I thought the same about you, actually.
Well, I'm having the beauty chef, so that works so well. I'm so grateful for you making your way and coming over to record. So I want to pick your brain today and start off by asking, how did you get into the wellness space? What was your journey?
So I think it's been such an organic journey, having eczema when I was 12, and my mum, and I had eczema all over my body, and I was using cortisone creams, and I was sneezing everywhere. In fact, everyone knew where I was because there would be a trail of tissues.
Aww.
And it's like, there she is, follow the trail of tissues. And so mum took me to see a naturopath.
That would have been a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. My mum was quite alternative, so she loved natural remedies. And so she took me to see a naturopath, actually Penelope Sack, who I think she's still practicing.
Wow.
She was an amazing naturopath in Willara, and she did a whole lot of blood tests and different tests, and she found that I was intolerant to gluten and to dairy. So she dramatically changed my diet. And so I guess in some ways, while that was challenging, I feel very blessed that at a very young age I learnt about the connection between what we put into our bodies and our skin health. So from completely changing my diet, my eczema cleared up, I felt better. And so I guess that really led me on my journey years later. I always wanted to do something, study naturopathy, help people. And when I was in the beauty industry, I became very disillusioned with the paradigm and how they approached beauty, as well as so many mass market skincare products had so many questionable chemicals that weren't healing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can resonate with this. I feel like now gut health is spoken about all the time. Yeah. And for me personally, I suffer with perioral dermatitis. And I know as soon as I have a mouthful of gluten the next day, my skin is inflamed. And old me used to get so upset about it, look in the mirror and talk negatively to myself. But now I see it as my body's working. It's telling me that something doesn't work and it's not right for my digestion. So I listen to it. And I think it's nice and beautiful that the creation of The Beauty Chef started from your own situation and struggles.
Yeah, and it's true. I think your skin communicates to you. And so when your skin is out of balance, it's a great time to sit and reflect and think what could be causing this, what's going on. And, you know, more and more studies show that where there's gut inflammation, there'll be skin inflammation. And most skin issues are fueled by inflammation. Autoimmune skin issues like eczema, psoriasis, acne, rosacea, even premature aging of the skin, which is also known as inflammaging.
Inflammaging. I love that so much. I did want to touch on eczema.
Yes.
I don't know why, but my TikTok is just throwing me people who have had issues with eczema. They take the cortisone creams and then their whole body flares up. They have like a reaction to it. I know myself, I've struggled with eczema in the past, and I actually do also get milia on my eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's linked, but when I was younger, I'd get eczema on my eyes and they'd give me the steroid cream and I'd put it all over my eyes. And I wonder if that's a long-term impact from putting steroids on my eyes. But when I went to the doctor, no one ever said, what's your gut health? Let's do any tests. What would you like to see in the doctor's office when people come in with eczema flare-ups?
I guess, cortisone's an interesting one because I don't believe long-term use of it. But when I had eczema chronically as a child, it definitely did help appease some of the pain and the discomfort for short-term use. But long-term, you really need to get to the bottom of actually what's going on, because I'm such a big believer, and I think I'm a testament to it, that, looking at your gut first and foremost, and it's not just diet, it's stress. I think if ever, when I was younger, if I was stressed, I'd find myself scratching my arms even more rigorously. So I think we know that stress compromises the gut, lack of sleep. So really looking at your diet, your stress levels, your sleep. And I often find that people who are really sensitive get eczema.
Yeah.
And
I'm a Cancer rising in moon, so I'm getting eczema.
And so I think, cortisone long-term is not great. And I think if you suppress eczema in the skin through using cortisone, it'll come through other tissues in the body. So definitely can give some very short-term relief, but very important to work with, practitioners on an anti-inflammatory diet and gut health, and really getting to the core of what's happening, and also looking at those lifestyle factors.
Yeah, two things popped up in my mind there. If you are someone struggling, seeing a naturopath, holistic approach is definitely a great place to start.
Absolutely.
So this is your sign to seek that help. And another thing that came into my mind was, I've spoken a lot on this podcast that 4 years ago I was insomniac, drank red wine every night to fall asleep, a caffeine addict. I wasn't in good balance, to say the least. And I would wake up in the middle of the night scratching my entire body. So when you said that it links to stress, not only stress from my lifestyle habits of, as I mentioned, the caffeine and the alcohol, but also the stress from work, stress from my family life. And that's where, the mindfulness practices are really important. And I don't think people realize that that can heal your skin. I was listening to Sammy Clark from Form. I adore her. She was talking about her journey with skin, and she now has a skin affirmation for her acne, and she's seeing a difference just by speaking more positively to herself. So I feel like gut health, how we speak to ourselves, really great place to start before you take an antibiotic or put a topical antibiotic on.
And, the studies show that stress and lack of sleep really disrupt your body's ability to maintain a healthy microbiome. And there's some really amazing studies coming out of Monash University looking at gut-focused hypnotherapy, and it's fascinating. So, and that I think is such testament to the impact in the gut-brain axis. So people who have IBS, they're having something like 72% reduction in bloating, nausea, discomfort, digestive spasms through gut-focused hypnotherapy. So have a look at the Monash University clinical trial. It's really interesting.
So when you say gut hypnotherapy, what are they doing?
So they are basically doing hypnotherapy on your gut. So I'm intrigued.
Wow.
I want to explore it more. I've just looked at some of the initial studies, and because I'm so interested in gut health and holistically looking at gut health, diet, lifestyle, this is something for me that's really piqued my interest. So I will watch this space.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump back into the Beauty Chef.
Yes.
Because I'm completely obsessed with your products. I wanted to start with, I love the name.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name?
So when I was working for the newspaper and I was working with beauty products and getting sent, all of these mass market skincare products, did my research, became really disillusioned with the amount of chemicals in skincare, thought I really want to change the paradigm in this industry. And I knew that beauty began in the belly, but also all these chemicals were not going to really heal the skin when applied topically. And so I wrote a book, and it's really exciting, and Mason actually worked on it. So I wrote a book in my 20s called Feeding Your Skin. It was published through Penguin. And it was funny because my column in the newspaper, a publisher at Penguin, Julie, she rang me and she said, I love how your comms are a little bit hippie. So I started to talking more about do-it-yourself recipes.
It's like hippie then.
Face masks and going away from really spruiking the commercial products. I remember my editor's like, you have to put more products on the pages. I'm like, yeah, but these are beautiful healing recipes.
And they work, but they don't make money.
That's it. And so I quit the newspaper, and Julie from Penguin, the publisher, said, Carla, would you write a book on natural skincare? So I did. And so that's, we're republishing now. I'm doing a revised edition. It's coming out this year.
Woohoo!
And it's so funny because it's far more zeitgeist now than it was back then. Back then it was so niche and kind of hippie, and now it's very it's trending. And because I wrote the book, I got approached by all these people who asked me if I could speak at events and make the products. So I'd make, oil cleansers and fresh food masks and beautiful healing moisturizers. And so I was kind of cooking and making skincare products. And so I thought maybe I'll call myself the beauty cook. And then that's how the beauty chef evolved
I love
from the
it.
beauty cook. Yeah.
And I love it as well because it goes back to your plate. It's so important what you eat and you nourish yourself with. It really shows in your skin.
Yeah.
And, I've spoken to some incredible naturopaths and nutritionists on this episode. They all glow. And I'm like, it's what you eat. It really comes out in your skin.
Absolutely. It's just how you nourish the cells in your body is so important. And it's just having a diet that's rich in your antioxidants, good proteins, healthy fats, and getting enough of that nutrition. Because your hair, skin and nails are the last places that get nutrients. They've got to more important organs first. So if you're not getting enough nourishment in your diet, then those areas, literally starve.
Well, that's why I love taking the Beauty Chef products, because I'm like, okay, this is going there because it's extra. So I'll have my berry yogurt bowl with my glow. And then I'm like, I'm really upping the probiotics and it's just going to go to my skin, hair. And I love that. But what also came up for me is that when I was at school, if they would have said to me, if you eat a healthy whole food diet, your skin and your hair and your nails will be better.
Yeah.
I would have followed that. But the way they teach it, it's I remember learning about that lemon, what was that lemon juice?
The lemon detox diet. I think you drink lemon juice for 3 days straight. And it's actually you need nutrients to do phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification of the body. You actually need to eat to detoxify.
Yeah. I know. We are seeing a shift in the industry in a positive way.
Yeah,
I truly do believe that. I mean, we could go on a whole nother tangent about Ozempic and everything with that.
Yeah.
But we're not on today's episode. We're focusing on people who are following a holistic approach. So I think this ties nicely to the next question. I wanted to know what a day on a plate looks like for you.
So it's so funny because I'm a big believer in the Mediterranean diet. So a diverse range of vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, healthy fats, good source of proteins. And again, having more plants on your plate because microbial diversity is linked with good gut health and overall health. And we know that eating a variety of fruits and vegetables rich in fibre helps to support microbial diversity. So I try and get at least 20 different types of vegetables or plant-based foods on my plates every single day. A herb garden makes it much easier because people are like, how do you do 20? I'm like, you might call it cheating, but I'll put a little bit of basil and a bit of oregano and a little bit of rosemary and parsley into my salads, and also nuts and seeds, all different varieties.
You're getting 20 in one dish.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's where sprouts are also great too.
Yeah, amazing.
One thing, I don't know if this is true, but whenever I make my tea at night, I'm like, ooh, this is 5. Because I'm like, passion flower, licorice. Does that count?
It does.
Oh.
Just getting all different types of, herbs and plants and vegetables is so important, and fermented foods. So, you know, everything at The Beauty Chef, we built our own state-of-the-art fermentation plant, which is run by leading microbiologists. So we can make sure that we have products that have high and, you know, optimize our probiotic and postbiotic outputs. But fermentation is incredible, and fermented foods are so important because when you ferment food, it increases the nutrient value. It helps to neutralize any anti-nutrients like phytic acid, which can upset your tummy. And it also produces not just probiotics, but postbiotics.
Amazing.
And postbiotics, I think, are like the new frontier of biotic research.
Do you think that anyone can introduce fermented foods into their diet? Do you think it's a good approach?
I think it's a great approach. I think if your gut is really out of balance, they can be quite disruptive because they're quite potent. And so I would say anybody like who has really a gut that's really imbalanced, it has FODMAP issues. In my book, The Gut Guide, I go through different phases. So the first phase of the gut guide is healing the gut. And sometimes it's really good just to go on a really kind of calming diet, lots of bone broth, cooked foods, and heal the lining. And then you start to introduce some of your probiotic fermented foods.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I think it goes into the next question, which is just the marketing of supplements at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm personally overwhelmed. I've spoken on here before that I almost just gave up on supplements in general because I was too overwhelmed, and I felt like if I didn't take it in the morning, then I wasn't doing it right if I didn't take it with food. So I wanted to get your take on the supplement industry. What should we definitely be having, and what should we be looking out for?
I guess I always start with a whole food diet. Like, diet is your foundation. And I know it's really hard for so many people, understandably. And there's days where I, you know, just can't eat the way I want to because I'm running around and really busy. And I think, you know, in the modern day world, a lot of people are eating lots of processed foods, drinking alcohol, don't have time to actually really nourish their bodies with whole foods. So I think supplements can play a really important part there. So, you know, even having your greens powders, your fermented foods, really important. When it comes down to specific nutrients, it's an interesting one, and I'm a big believer people should have blood tests regularly, so at least every 6 months to have a look at where your iron's at, where your zinc's at, where your vitamin B12's at. Because they're such important nutrients that you might not be getting in your diet, and you might need them in a supplement, and they're so important for overall health, and magnesium's another one. And also getting it tested, because if you have too much iron in your body, which a lot of women don't, they have the reverse, but some people do have too much iron. And if you take an iron supplement on top of that, too much iron is a pro-oxidant and causes inflammation in the body. So I think if you're taking just whole foods and herbs, I think that's fantastic, and fermented foods. But when you start to get into heavy loading of nutrients in supplements, multivitamin supplements, generally they've only got small amounts of vitamins, but some of them have really high levels of certain vitamins. Just be careful that, you know, have your blood tests and just see, am I really deficient in that nutrient? Do I really need it? And I take that very holistic approach to the way that we formulate at The Beauty Chef.
Yeah. So if someone new was coming to your product range, what could you recommend them that would be safe and would benefit them?
So I always say start with our Glow powder. So that is the first powder that we launched in 2009. It's still the foundational product in the range. It's our hero product. And so if you're under 50, you take Glow, and if you're over 50, you take Glow Ageless. So Glow Ageless has some more nutrients in it that are really specific to people over 50. But Glow is like 18 biofermented probiotic whole foods. It's got prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics. It's rich in antioxidants. We do add nutrients, but we add B vitamins through sprouted quinoa. So you're actually getting 25% of your RDI of biotin, 25% of your RDI of niacinamide. We've got 200% of vitamin C, 50% of zinc, 20% of provitamin A. So when I was looking at, a lot of the nutrients come from natural sources, which I think your body absorbs differently to when they're synthetic. We do put in some nature identical nutrients as well, but vitamin C, I think, so many people need more vitamin C because stress really robs our bodies of vitamin C. I don't think enough people are getting zinc in their diet, and I can often see signs like when people have white dots on their nails. that also could be they've just hit their nails and they've got white dots. But often I look at that and I'm like, I think, that can be a sign of zinc deficiency. And zinc is so important for gut health, skin health, immune health, brain health. And it's amazing how many friends, they show me their blood tests. I'm like, you're deficient in zinc.
Yeah.
And it's super important. So zinc's one of my favourite nutrients that I do seem to, I put into some of our products, but not, again, we're really aware that if you mix our products, you're not going to get too much zinc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I recently got off the birth control pill.
Yeah.
And I found out that it depletes your zinc and your
It
Bs.
does. And magnesium.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
on a more personal
Yeah.
question, I started taking magnesium this week and my dreams have been psycho. I don't think I'm sleeping because I'm so aware. So then last night I didn't take it just to see and I slept really well. Can you help me understand this?
Well, I'm not a dream therapist,
No.
but I can give it no. No, but I think magnesium.
It's strong though.
It is.
I felt
But
it.
maybe also you could have at some point been in an incredibly relaxed state.
That I was dreaming.
That you were dreaming.
And I'm not
you're
used
not
to
used to it.
Yes.
So maybe that's because magnesium is so important and it's responsible for 3,000 enzymatic processes in the body, and it's just super important. A lot of people I know have great changes in the way they feel from taking magnesium.
Okay, I'll continue my journey.
Yeah. See how you go. Maybe journal. You might have some very interesting dreams.
I know. I mean, I felt really refreshed when I woke up.
Yeah.
But I just was like, wow, I remember all my dreams so vividly.
Yeah.
And they were kind of realistic. They weren't like crazy, I was in a war. They were like things about Fashion Week next week, like stresses. Yes. So I was like, am I sleeping or am I not? But I'm going to continue with it. And I actually love the one we have is like a lemon flavor. It's really good.
Yeah, yum.
Do you guys have a sleep product?
Yeah, we do. We used to have a sleep powder, and it was a turmeric sleep powder, and it had passion flower and lemon balm, and it was just so delicious. I've got the last 2 tubs, and because we decided, a lot of people said, "Oh, can you give us capsules?" Because we want to have a
powder.
And so we made capsules. We basically put the sleep powder in capsules, but now people are like, can we please have the
Oh
powder?
my gosh.
So watch this space. We're going to redo the powder. But it's like gold. It's like I've got the last 2 tubs. I'm like, if anyone wants it, they're like $1,000.
Yeah, literally.
They're
They're literally important. Me and Tom every night would be like, do you want instead of a Margie, do you want a Maggie? Like a magnesium. I'm like, we're so old now that's our vibe. We're like, do you want a Maggie tonight? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I love that. That is so good. I'm going to use that. Thanks, Tom.
No worries. Well, it's a Maggie without the tequila,
No, it's good.
I wanted to chat about gut issues like SIBO, IBS. Do you feel like more people are suffering with this in the modern society? And if so, is there something to do with our environment that is causing this increase in diagnosis in people?
Absolutely. I think that, when you look at what causes like gut dysbiosis, which is basically us not having a very good relationship with our gut microbiome, which is probably the most important relationship you'll ever have. And people go, that's kind of weird with your gut.
See, Tom, my gut microbiome and me, we're like this.
Yeah, that's it. Like it is the most, when you think about that your gut regulates your gut microbiome, which is an ecosystem of tens of trillions of microorganisms that regulate your gut health, your brain health, your metabolic health, your skin health, your immune health. Like it is so incredibly important. And what does our gut microbiome not like? Stress, lack of sleep, processed foods, sugar, antibiotics, medications, pollution in the environment. So I think, if we want to really nurture our gut microbiome, it's about clean water, fresh air, good whole foods. Fibre is really important because fibre, all those bugs in your gut that are so important, that should be your best friends, they love, they eat a diet as well. And we've got to make sure that we're giving them a good diet. And what they absolutely love, what they favour is fibre. And so they basically digest fibre and create these short-chain fatty acids, which are anti-inflammatory and vital for our brain health, immune health, metabolic health, skin health, everything. So I do believe that the increase in gut issues, and we're seeing it more and more even with the Beauty Chef. We've got an amazing product called Gut Primer that helps to heal leaky gut, helps heal the lining of the gut, and it's just been a game changer for so many people who are suffering with IBS and that incredible discomfort, which is debilitating.
I think as well it's important to recognize that sometimes it is out of our control to live in a modern society. If you live in a city, we don't live out in the fields anymore, that there is pollution around us. And what, from my understanding, it's you have control in what you consume. So by having Beauty Chef products, you're able to detoxify what's in our environment that we actually don't have control over. And I think it's important to have a really good detoxing routine in your life, because our environment is disrupting our gut, even if you didn't want it to. Like, you can control your sleep, you can control your alcohol consumption, you can have a diet without sugar, right? But in terms of like pollution and things, it's kind of out of our control. So we do need to be supplementing, I guess, to make up for that.
I mean, even if you could just look at your diet and the stress and the sleep, and then occasionally get to the country if you can and breathe in that beautiful fresh air, which makes such a big difference. So I think, and look, I really feel like for, in our community, we have people who just, authentically come to us and say, where do I start? Like, I want to help my gut, but I'm, I've got told I should do paleo, vegan,
I know,
keto,
candida, like
all these diets. Where do I start? And it's so overwhelming for so many people. And I'm busy and I've got 3 kids and I've got a job. And so I need some guidance because it's all too overwhelming, so I don't do anything. And so I'm such a big believer in not just a low GI diet, but a low HI diet, so low human intervention diet.
Amazing. I've never heard that before.
So, it's like, just start with a whole food diet. Just don't worry about the keto and the paleo. And look, they all have their place at those diets. But just eating whole foods, taking away the processed foods, the sugars, if you can just do that and get more veggies into your diet, that is just such an amazing start, and add a little bit of fermented food as well.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've introduced, which I've loved, is when I go to the Bondi markets and do my shop, I have to pick a vegetable I wouldn't usually pick.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so how do I, is it Jerusalem artichoke, whatever it is, how do I incorporate this into a recipe? And I've actually made a bit of a game out of it. I've made it fun because I feel like a lot of people, I was guilty to having the same food every day for breakfast, lunch and dinner because I was like, my macros and this. But then when you learn about diversity in the gut microbiome, we need to be mixing it up. As you said, having 20 fruit and vegetables.
That's it. Seasonal. And seasonal, it's often cheaper as well.
Yeah.
How'd you go with the Jerusalem artichoke? That's quite polarizing, that vegetable.
Why?
Oh, because I've served it so many times and it can cause quite a lot of excitement in the gut for some people. So it's one of those
Brussels sprouts for me.
Yeah. But they're so good. All your cruciferous veggies are so good for you. And, if you don't have the digestive fire to break them down, sometimes they can be hard on your gut. But if you can work on that, they are so good for you. They've got all the self-containing compounds and, they're really
So even
healthy.
If our gut is telling me it doesn't like lentils and it doesn't like broccoli, I should still be eating it?
I think you just need to strengthen your gut health and your digestive fire.
Because Tom doesn't want me to.
And also doing things like with lentils, if you soak lentils.
I need to try because they don't work for me.
Yeah, soaking lentils. And again, we have fermented legumes in the Beauty Chef products and people are like, legumes make me really gassy. Why does your powders not do that? In fact, your powders really help my tummy. And it's because they've been fermented. And so when you ferment foods, it neutralizes some of those anti-nutrients that are hard on your digestive health. And, often people say to me, you say in your books you have yogurt, but I thought you don't embrace dairy.
Yeah.
But fermented dairy is very different to non-fermented dairy. So studies show that acne is linked with non-fermented dairy, but not fermented dairy. And it's the same with, gluten. A lot of people who are gluten intolerant can tolerate some sourdough because it's been fermented. The same as soy. So fermented soy is so good for you. And I've wanted to bring out products with fermented soy, but it's been really interesting because it's got such bad press. So I kind of stayed away from it, but it's something I want to introduce because some of the studies on the benefits of fermented soy, like tempeh, are just incredible. So great for your gut and your health and your overall health.
I mean, we were talking off mic before about a statistics I saw where in the UK and the US, 1 in 7 or 8 women will develop breast cancer. But in Japan, it was 1 in 38. And you did say it was a correlation between having that fermented soy. And I'm someone who has cut out soy mainly out of my diet. I have it here and there because of that bad press. Yeah. So, you know, having your misos and your good things, I'm excited to reincorporate that and see how I feel and be intuitive about it rather than listening to mass media.
Absolutely. And, you know, in terms of what's seen as healthy level in the Japanese community, in their health department, what is seen as what they say is healthy levels of B12 are so much higher than ours. Wow. And I think they have lower incidences of neurological disease in Japan, and I attribute that to a higher B12. And again, B12 is one of those things that I think a lot of people are deficient in and they don't know.
Can you get it from food?
Yeah, absolutely, in lots of different foods. But you can also, getting your blood test is important just to see where your B12 is at, and just being mindful, look at what the Japanese, like what is a healthy ratio, a normal level of B12 in when it comes to the health department in Japan compared to ours. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will. So all the Beauty Chef products are organic?
Mostly,
yes. Right?
Where possible, we get biodynamic and certified organic ingredients.
Yeah.
And many of our products are certified organic.
So I wanted to touch on what you thought about this organic movement, because I do believe 5 years ago I was like, oh, they're just charging more, like it's not important. And now the more I learn about it, I really try to incorporate organic wherever I can. Yeah. How important is it for someone who's starting their health and wellness journey to eat organic?
I think if you're starting your health and wellness journey, and I guess it really depends on your budget as well. So I'm really mindful that, you know, also times are hard for so many people now, and organic generally a lot of time is more expensive. And again, when we talk about this overwhelming list of things that people have to do, like it has to be this, it has to be that, it has to be activated, it has to be organic. And again, I think what's the most important thing is that people start to take processed foods out of their diet. So just if you can take processed food and sugar, because sugar is terrible for, you know, it feeds a pathogenic bacteria in our gut and causes dysbiosis. So just by removing, you know, processed foods and sugar, I think that's the first step. And then just embracing a whole food diet. And if you can get organic food and you have access to it and it's affordable for you, then absolutely it's less in, you know, you don't have the herbicides, the pesticides that the conventional produce has been sprayed with. It's better for your health, better for the environment, often has high levels of antioxidants and minerals in it as well, especially biodynamic produce because it comes from soils that are so rich. Biodynamic produce often has much higher levels of minerals, and that's also an issue in terms of conventionally farmed produce. Soils are so depleted. We often, again, you know, we're deficient in minerals like selenium and iodine and zinc. So definitely organic. One thing I used to do when my kids were little, and they didn't like it very much. But we're living in an apartment in Bondi, and I used to buy bulk organic vegetables and things from eco farms out at Parramatta. And if you order over a certain amount, they deliver it. And I used to divvy it up in our apartment. So every Thursday afternoon, our whole lounge room was like a fruit and veggie store. And my kids were like, oh, Mum, people know you as like the fruit and veggie lady at school. They're like, oh, she's a fruit and veggie lady. And I used to divvy it up into boxes, and it was so much cheaper. And it was great for me because it was like a little small business. Lots of friends and family would get big boxes of organic produce, very reasonably priced. So that's another way of doing it to make it cheaper.
Yeah, I love that advice. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And also markets are really good for buying organic produce.
It's good for your soul as well.
Oh, markets
like honestly,
are so good for your soul.
Just you feel like part of the community. It's just feels
isn't it
good.
the best? The markets are so good.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes I go into like, if you don't live in Sydney, there's a place called Parisi's. It's a very expensive grocery
Another
shop.
one, yeah.
But everything looks so fake. It's too perfect. That's what I love about the markets is it looks real because it's organic. And I did read a study as well that it's natural for bugs to go on our like strawberries, for example, and that helps the nutrients in it. But if you're spraying it with pesticides, you're kind of removing all these processes that were natural, and growing up, I don't want the yucky looking apple, but that's the one with the most nutrients.
Absolutely. And also like when I wrote my book, The Gut Guide, I did a lot of research and I also talked to the associate professor, Dr. Andrew Holmes, who works at the Charles Perkins Centre. He did the foreword for my book and we have had lots of conversations around things that are good for your gut and your gut microbiome. There was a study in, I think it was Tanzania, that looked at women in Tanzania and communities and women who were planting and harvesting tubers. And it's so interesting. They actually, because they're exposed to the soil that they grow the tubers, they have enzymes in their gut through breathing in those bacteria that help them break down the tubers. So I'm a big believer in the link between actually gardening, growing your own vegetables, harvesting and eating them, and through that whole holistic experience, there's something about that exposure to the microbes in the soil that helps you to digest your food better. And that's, I'm not saying go and eat soil because soil has pathogenic bacteria in it. And people are like, oh, should I just eat some soil? No, please don't do that. But gardening for your gut is really healthy.
Well, my nonna's 90.
Yes.
And she's incredible.
Yeah.
She lives by herself at home still. She gardens every single day. And I think that not only, almost coming through your skin, but the movement that comes in it, like appreciation for what you eat, like everything about it. And in that show, there was like How to Live to 100 or about the blue zones.
Yeah.
Like gardening and being in nature was just such a big part of your longevity.
Absolutely. So I think that's a part, exercise and meditation, relaxation, but there is definitely a link between the soil, your gut microbiome and what you're growing and how you digest that food.
So incredible. Well, on that note, I wanted to talk about mindfulness. So what are some ways that you incorporate it into your busy schedule? Because I mean, I'm sure your days are so busy.
They are. And it's funny because I'm really good with I'm so good with my food and, lots of things, but I am busy and I keep saying, I run a wellness company and that's one area that I do need to be more mindful about because I am so busy, but I'm a bit of a yes person. And so I need to learn to say no more. And it's just in my nature. I am working on that. But walking for me is probably, it is the most therapeutic form of exercise. I love Pilates and I run occasionally. My husband's trying to get me to get onto Strava.
Oh my God.
And he's like, and then you can compete with other people. And I'm like, I have no desire to compete with anyone. I like just to run a little bit, then I'll walk a little bit, then I'll jog a little bit. And but walking for me, it reduces stress, tension, and it really boosts creativity. Like I can start walking with the weight of the world on my shoulders, and by the end of my walk, I feel like I've solved every single problem. I feel happier. I feel energized. So I do probably a walk an hour and a half a day.
Wow.
Usually after work. Sometimes I have to have the meetings. I have my AirPods in and I walk my dog at the same time, but I try to have a bit of space where I'm not actually on the phone or listening to anything. And I think being around nature and listening to nature sounds as part of your walk is also really important.
Yeah, and I love that because anybody can take that on. Like
Absolutely.
Anyone can go for a walk, no matter where you are, who you are. So I think that's incredible. I wanted to touch on skincare and beauty because your skin is phenomenal. What are 3 products you could not live without?
So non-beauty chef or beauty chef?
Beauty chef. Beauty chef. Absolutely beauty chef.
I know that's biased. So the 3 products, the beauty chef that I can't live without at the moment. I'm the beauty chef. So I have all of the products in my fridge.
She is the beauty chef. So, I love that.
It's, I've got all of them. But if I had to pick 3, it would probably be Glow Ageless. So now I'm in my 50s. So I have glows for under 50, Glow Ageless for over 50. So I have Glow Ageless every day and that's like my gut, skin, energy, overall wellness product. Then Gut Primer is phenomenal because it changes people's lives. And if ever I've, feel like my gut's out of balance because I've had a little bit too much stress or I've been traveling and so my gut is a little bit imbalanced, it is the most incredible product for healing your gut. And then the third one would probably be, oh gosh, that's so hard. I love our body wellness powder because it's so full.
Oh my God, that's my favorite.
It is just it's like a healthy snack meal supplement. I don't even have to think about if I'm rushing around and I am busy juggling lots of things. I have this protein, alkalizing greens, antioxidant-rich fruit and vegetables, probiotics.
In one.
Fibre in one, and I just mix it with water or, But the other thing I do love is plumpers.
Oh my God, the chocolate ones taste like Ovaltinis.
I know.
Do you remember them?
I know. So we have plumpers wars in our house. When my kids my daughter's living in LA, but she's just been out for a couple of months, and you have no idea the argy-bargy about the chocolate plumpers in our house between my husband, my daughter and myself. But they're easy and I think I just love them.
I probably overdo it. Like I'll have like 6 sometimes. But
that's good. And I think I'm obsessed with an ingredient that's in them. So then it not only just have these amazing collagen peptides, but they have a postbiotic that I discovered and did lots of research on, and it's Lactobacillus rhamnosus L137. And
I'm like, what?
And it is so cool. It comes from an ancient fermented food, and the studies on it, there's clinical trials on it to show that it helps. It's got immune modulating and it supports your immune system, and it also hydrates your skin.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we're nearly at the end of the pod, but I did want to talk about diversity in the beauty industry. As a model, I see it firsthand.
Yeah.
You kind of get casted for skincare products you've never used. And I just wanted to know your thoughts because, acne scars, rosacea, pigmentation, these sort of things that people deal with. Do you think we need to be seeing this more in the marketing of beauty products?
Absolutely. I think it's really important because it's real. And so many different people have different types of skin tone and texture, and that really reflects what is, the skin of our community. And so I think it's super important in breaking down some of those, because I think we've become, from where I was 20-something years ago, where I wanted to really change that paradigm in the beauty industry, not just about health and, that beauty began in the belly, but also there was a very narrow idea, very insular idea of what beauty was. It was very one-dimensional. So I think in terms of diversity, we have come so far, which I love. But I agree around skin issues. Like a lot of people still feel, our skin is the interface into the world. So if you have eczema or acne, it can be really difficult and challenging to go out into the world and feel confident. And so I think us being able to embrace that and show that as beauty brands to represent, a wide range of different types of skin. But I also think it's important to also address that when people do have eczema, chronic eczema and acne, that there absolutely needs to be that acceptance around it and us embracing people with different skin issues. But also I think it's important that we also address that, wow, that's also really great. How, in a way, I see my eczema as a gift now, that I looked at what was going on in my body, and that gave me an opportunity to explore my health to make me feel better and to have, healthier, happier and less irritated skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. It needs to be like a balance.
Yeah.
And that's why, I said like acne scars and things that they're almost like show your bravery for going through it, because it can be so hard. Like I know that I genetically have good skin, so I am lucky. Yeah. But as I mentioned, I do get perioral dermatitis. And the other day I was filming myself and all I could see was that perioral dermatitis and the negative self-talk that was happening there. And I think it made me think we need to be seeing this more. So I think I will post that video because I think it shows light to it. And I know it's something a lot of girls suffer with. And acne, of course. I think as well, as I've mentioned, I've gone off the birth control pill. And with that, it's so many people's skin flares up and all these things. And I've been so nervous. Yeah. And I've made sure to be following accounts that are real and people are showing their flaws and changes in their skin and they're being open about it, because they're the people, that's the content I want to be absorbing, and it allows me to then change how I talk to myself. Exactly the affirmation you said, instead of looking at yourself and being like, I hate my acne or I hate my dermatitis, I hate my eczema. It's like, change that, rewire it to, I am so grateful that my body is communicating with me that
Yeah.
something is not right.
Yeah.
I am so grateful to have the knowledge and power to do something and change this.
Absolutely. And my body cares about me enough to show me where I actually need to probably start to focus.
Yeah, and I used to be jealous of the people who could have a pizza, drink a red wine, and literally go on with life and look fine. But that will always catch up with you in the end and your longevity, because it's not good for you. If you're a sensitive person, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
and you do feel the flare-ups and the changes in your diet,
Yeah.
your body's going to thank you, because at a young age, you at the age of 12 was already incorporating healthy habits. And now look how incredible you look. So,
Aw.
you know, it's all knowledge is power, and products like
is.
you in the market are just so important.
And also, I think just knowing that I truly believe there's a solution for everything. I'm always a very solution-focused and positive person. And so people that go through lots of, hardships with skin issues, it's so important to know there's so many people, and gut issues and health issues. And there is always something that you can do about it to make it better.
Yeah.
And I think that's really tapping. And it's so great that you're doing this podcast. There's so many amazing people talking about health and challenging the norms and finding integrative practitioners and people that can look at what you're going through more holistically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So I'm going to end with the same question I ask all the guests, which is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I would give my advice to look after my gut, be gutsy, and follow my gut instinct.
I love that. I love that so much. You are an exceptional woman. I'm so grateful you came on the podcast.
I think the same about you too.
Thanks,
Thank you, Dom.
Carla.
Thank you.
I've been a big fan of yours for about 5 years now. So it feels serendipitous and full circle that you're here and we're talking. So it's really special to me. I want to make sure if you don't follow The Beauty Chef, you follow them. They post the most incredible recipes, and they're usually...
Thanks, Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie's here. She's creating these recipes. I'm obsessed. So make sure you give them a follow. And just a reminder, if you love this episode, make sure you pop it on your socials and tag us, because we love to see it. I also wanted to say I'm creating a Self-Dom walk club. I'm very excited. So if you're excited, DM me and let me know what day you would prefer the walk club to be. It will be in the eastern suburbs. I think I'll change the location from Bondi 1 week, Centennial Park, so we can attract more people in the area. And for now, that's it. See you on the next podcast.